Hi, here we are at Bloody Scotland, and I've interviewed a number of best-selling authors over the weekend, and today I've got another best-selling author, and with a bit of a difference because Chris Carter here probably knows more about the true facts behind um, certainly serial killers and serious crimes than many of the authors, because Chris used to be a criminal psychologist. Tell me a bit about that early career of yours.
It's one of those things. When I graduated from high school in Brazil, I got accepted into university in the States, and I went over not really knowing what I would do. I thought I would be a doctor because my dad was a doctor, and you always try to follow the footsteps of your dad. And I told my dad, I said, "Oh, I want to be a doctor," and he said, "Oh, really? Come with me." So he took me to the hospital, and he gave me a tour of the entire hospital, everything from the emergency unit to the psychiatric unit. It took me about 2.5 hours walking the hospital. He took me to the intensive care unit, to the operation rooms, everything. 2.5 hours later, I had completely given up the idea of being a doctor. I was like, there's no way I can do this. So when I went to the States, and the thing, the Americans, they have a different system in university. You don't have to choose what you need to study as soon as you get to university. They have what's called a general year. So in that year, you can get a subject on whatever career you intend you're thinking about it, and evaluate, see how it goes. Back then, we had criminal behavior psychology courses straight in, and that's what I did. I was very interested in it. It was a very interesting course, but it's a very depressing course. As I said, one of the professors right at the beginning, he said, "Look, you're about 45 of you guys here in the class. Only about 15 of you are going to graduate. Not because the course is that difficult, but the subject is very depressing, and you're going to spend 4 years, 5 years of your life studying something which is it's all about murder. It's all about the craziness of people's minds. It's all about hurting people, torturing people. It's not something that you want to do for that long." And during the weekend, he said, "Look, forget the books. Go out, get drunk, get laid, have a party, do whatever you want to do. Just do not study. You need to get that separation on your life and what you're doing. And if you don't get that separation in this profession, you're dead. And you're not even going to have a family because it's going to split everything up."
And part of your university education involved you going to interview serial killers.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
It's again, it's part of the course, and obviously you got to talk to them and try to understand motives and reasons behind. But I don't believe there is. You can't understand a lot of the reasons. Obviously, sometimes you can draw back all the way into their childhood and find a point. I mean, I always thought in my life that if you see, like I actually put that in one of my books. If you're walking on the street and you see a homeless guy on the street, I always think if you could go back in time and retrace this guy's life, you would probably find the exact moment where he cracked. Because everybody cracks. He wasn't born homeless. There was a time in this guy's life that was it. Everything gone. And serial killers is the same. If you can probably go back in their lives, you could probably pinpoint the time that the seed started growing in his head. I met people who killed other people because they were in a bar and somebody walked past and bumped into their bottle of Bud. The bottle of Bud had fell on the ground, broke. That was it. Knife straight into the guy's neck. Like, you killed somebody because he broke a bottle of Bud. I mean, I put that in a book. I lose my contract probably. It's one of those things. I mean, I interviewed this one guy, probably going to talk about this on the panel, but I interviewed this one person that he had killed a whole family in one go. And he explained to me that he had an argument with this guy in a bar and decided to kill him. So he followed the guy home. Instead of waiting for the guy outside the bar, no, he followed the guy home, got into the guy's house, killed him, and his whole family. There was his wife, 2 kids, and someone else in the house. Killed everybody. 5 people. So I said, "Look, I understand that you had an altercation with this individual in the bar, but why did you kill the entire family?" And his reply, I'm not joking you, he said, they was home. That's what he said. He killed the entire family because they were home.
You talked about when you studied criminal psychology, your professor saying go out and get drunk, this is going to affect your state of mind. Did it affect your state of mind? Because you were interviewing people in death row.
Sometimes it did. Sometimes it did. Yeah. You do get. I used to get back, and I was very young. I graduated very young. I went to university very young as well. So my mind was a bit of a. So sometimes you can't help it. You know. It's like being a doctor. They say you cannot involve yourself with the patients, but sometimes you can't help it. You know, some of these people. They come from bad backgrounds and stuff, and obviously you feel for the victims as well. For people lost their lives for absolutely no reason, for being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Mm-hmm. Which is just things like that. Unfortunately, because we are sort of trained in university to sort of visualize and see if you can put yourself in the shoes of the killers and try to think like them. Sometimes I used to put myself in the shoes of the victims. And just think, how awful you go out, you go on a holiday to have fun, get some sun and everything, and you get murdered because some idiot did something. It was. Sometimes I used to get back to my flat and everything, I would cry. And sometimes you go into states of depression and everything, and I chose back then. I didn't drink at all. I didn't drink and I didn't do any drugs at all, because there's no way I want to make. I mean, a lot of people say, look, if you drink, it makes it forget or something. But I was like, no, I was a teetotaler for a long time. But yeah, of course, affects your state of mind. And it was one of the reasons why I left criminal psychology.
Now, you became a rock guitarist and you played session musician for a number of big names. And then, obviously, you went on to become a best-selling author. Can you tell us about your latest book?
The one that just came out, it's called One by One. And the idea behind it, which I didn't know, there's a film that does... Though the idea behind it, I'm using the social media and the obsession people have today with reality TV. The killer broadcasts the murders live, and every murder is different, but it starts with don't want to give much out about the book, but it starts with he asks first the main detective, my main character is called Robert Hunter, to make a decision, and then he opens it to the public. So there's a voting system that he puts on, so he plays with that. And he goes, and I said, in every murder that happens in the book, there's a little twist on the voting thing. He does the voting a little bit differently, until the last murder. So it plays on that. Is the thing about it works with the social media as well. So it's the craziness that people have gone now with the internet and the reality TVs and the reality shows everywhere. So that's what pretty much the book's about. Obviously, there's the reasons behind it and the same kind of story, but it's much harder for you to catch somebody when they're hiding in cyberspace. Cyberspace evolves into the entire world and everything. So that's what the book pretty much is about.
Chris, thank you very much.
Pleasure.
It's been great
Pleasure.
to talk to you today.
Pleasure. My pleasure.